Here. Mr. Stevens?
Present.
Mr. White?
Here.
Mr. Wood?
Here. Okay. Commissioner Needner.
Call the Fire Committee meeting to order. I'd hear a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which I haven't even looked at. Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor? Open the meeting to visitors. Anybody have anything for Fire Committee? Nope. Okay. Old business, I just wanted to ask when we're expecting the fire marshal's report.
I would hope that it would be here this week. I will make an inquiry.
Okay. And is that, and then just secondly, is that the only investigation or report that's formally being conducted, or is there any other?
As of this time,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, okay,
And that will be made public upon receipt.
sure. All right. Did that, I handed you that paper, did that look okay?
No problems.
So we had some things come up, just normal personnel stuff in the fire department, and Bob and I kind of became aware that there's some incongruity between the bylaws of the fire department, which we empower by
Pass it
ordinance.
around.
Yeah, pass them around, thank you.
And
The employee manual. And so we've got to disconnect. The fire department bylaws are 2004, and they don't match some of the things, and there's some critical things that I think we need to address. And this may exist in other departments too. So I
well,
thought,
the employee it shouldn't affect the other departments because the employee manual is updated this year.
as long as those other departments don't have
They
old
don't have
policies or
bylaws
anything. Okay.
such as the fire department does.
So I would definitely be bringing up to the fire committee that we need to take a look at a revision of those bylaws, which are really the department's business, but it's policy, and we need to ensure that policy is in line with everything else that the city has. But before we do that, I kind of wanted to back up and just take a look at all departments, and that's what this motion is. I'm not making this motion right now. What I wanted to do is give it to all of you in writing. And if you have any thoughts, contact me this week, and let's, yeah. So we don't have to act on this. I'm just giving it to you, explaining to you what it is. If we're going to do a little review, this is pretty focused just on the firing and hiring of employees and getting everything in line. But if you see something here, I'd appreciate any input you have. Well, this is saying what I really want is for the administration to propose whatever amendments, tell us what we need to do to get this all these things.
To make sure that the bylaws are basically in line
Have you seen
with
the
the
bylaw?
Yeah, oh yeah.
employee manual.
Yeah, I've read them several times.
Is this a 2004?
The bylaws are from
That's
2004.
what this thing is.
No, this is my proposed motion I'm going to make next, at the full council meeting, next meeting. But I wanted to give everyone an opportunity to have input. You may think of something that I hadn't that's critical. The fire department bylaws are in a little booklet like this. I don't know how many of them
That's
are
correct.
around. If you haven't seen them,
I can make copies for those that don't have it.
I never saw it.
All right, I will be happy to do so.
but I just kind
I
of.
have one now.
I just kind of thought that it would be an opportunity to see if a situation exists in any of the departments, not just the fire department, where there may have, over time, become an inconsistency between changes in the, in ordinance or changes in the employee manual and what the historic policies are regarding hiring and firing of employees.
Is that basically what you're talking about, the hiring?
Yes.
And I would just make this suggestion for you to consider, is that when you do this, because it's almost impossible to prevent in the future inconsistencies from
Yeah.
creeping up. So if you put in both manuals that in the event of an inconsistency, which one is
Which
going
one
to
takes
control?
precedence?
Which one is going to be the final say so.
It seems like that would almost naturally fall to being the employee manual,
I would think so, but
but
that's for you
stating
guys
it
to figure out.
clarifies, yeah.
And this will all be forwarded to you, Robert, anyway.
Okay,
But this is just basically on hiring and firing.
yeah. Yeah, I don't want to do a whole review of the employee manual, we recognized that there was an inconsistency here. I thought we'd back up, go, are there other, does the same inconsistency exist other places? So that's all that is. So that's mostly just information. One thing that did come directly out of it, though, is that it's our history to have the council vote on, when the fire department wants to hire somebody new, we take an approval vote. There's no reason for that. It's completely unnecessary. It's an administrative decision. We should be getting that information. My understanding is the reason there's a vote is because originally the thought was make the council aware that this is happening, but it should just be information. It shouldn't, we don't have the authority, and it's not our job to say yes or no on that employment. That's Bob and his department heads.
Right.
Make one point. Under FLSA, they are considered employees, so.
But they're not commissioned or anything like a policeman.
No,
Right.
no, sir.
I didn't know that. That's good. I'm glad you looked that up. Okay. Any other business for the fire committee?
I'm curious, some of these inconsistencies as to why they're coming up and what are some of the inconsistencies other than that? Just out of curiosity, obviously I haven't been here.
I can't give you specifics because it's, I didn't.
Based on what we've been dealing with?
No,
Personnel
it
issue.
has nothing to do whatsoever with the
It
Miller
cannot be
fire, if that was
Okay.
your, no, just general
So something
personnel.
else. Okay.
Okay.
Is there gonna be a time frame where we're gonna be understanding these inconsistencies and why?
I can talk to you about it in
Okay. I'm just curious as to what created the awareness of these inconsistencies and how it's gonna help us in the future to change them.
a member of the fire department is no longer with the fire department.
Okay. Boy, I have missed a lot.
Okay. Any other new business for fire? Okay, then our next meeting will be January 6th, I believe. Is that right? Yeah.
It's flown by, hasn't it?
God, it's awful.
And we'll adjourn the fire committee.
Okay, thank you, Bart. Police committee.
Okay. Call the police committee meeting to order. Make a motion that we approve the minutes of our November 4th committee meeting. Second. Have a motion and second. All those in favor? Motion carried. I'm happy to say that our police force is now back at full staff with the addition of Anthony Bean and James Burley. We discussed last month about a contract for new police officers, and that hasn't been completely ironed out. And in an effort to get these young men on board, they have been hired and are in training right now, but they have both indicated they have no problems with agreeing or signing the contract when it becomes available. Chief Hughes has completed DUI training for our junior firefighters, and at the present time we have 3 of our police cars in the shop for repairs. So that's all I have. Does anyone else have
I'm
anything?
not on your committee, but will we get to see those people when we go on?
Yeah, yeah.
I will have them introduced to you at full council next Monday.
Okay.
Anyone have anything else?
I just wanted to know who to watch for.
Chief, you have anything else to add? Okay, Bob, Tom?
No, sir.
Okay, that's all we have, Tom.
Thank you, Sonny.
Streets and alley.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes of November meeting.
Second.
All in favor? I don't have anything to bring up other than, is there any reason why the street lights are out between 5th and 7th Street at night?
They turn them off for the parade.
They haven't got it.
Still off?
Yeah, I noticed they were still off.
Yeah, I had an inquiry in today about it, getting those back on.
I might be able to answer that question. The Ameren turned them off Friday for the parade, and they were supposed to work on, actually, we're working on them today. I'm not sure if they're back completely or not at this time, though.
They weren't on earlier. It's awful dark to keep going in post office, older people. One bad thought. That's all I have. You anybody in the audience have anything? That's all I have.
Thank you, Jimmy. Buildings and grounds.
I'd like to call the Building and Grounds Committee to order. I'd like to approve the meeting of November.
I second it.
I need a motion first.
I'll make the motion. I'll second it. All in favor? One of the things I have is the cleanup of Mr. Bursch's property. I understand Kent has one verbal bid. Kent?
Yes, sir. The contracting company that did the demolition for our grant last summer, they came to town. I showed them the 3 properties, and it's broken down, but total package cleaning all 3 properties up was $16,000.
Kent, why don't you have him, do you have that bid in?
No, it was just verbal. is all
We
it
need a
was.
formal
Yeah.
bid on that.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing I've got, I'd like a motion to bring to full council that we set up some kind of a fine or a time on this rental inspection. I think Kent says he has like 70 to do now by the first of the year.
You want to bring that up in ordinance?
I'd like to bring it up to full council
In ordinance.
in ordinance. I need a motion.
I think you're gonna need an ordinance. You need an ordinance.
Yeah,
Refer that to your ordinance.
Okay. I'll do that then.
Can I, not on your committee, that's already been referred to
Yes, it
ordinance,
has.
yeah, it
right?
was brought last night.
Not in the form of an ordinance.
No.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah, we'll have Mr. Rapp
draft
draft
something
it
up,
so
or
he
someone
can,
on the ordinance committee
give it to
could.
ordinance committee and let the council look at it. What was, you said it was already.
Kent presented it, and it is basically a fine for going too long without getting that inspection accomplished for rental properties. He's looking for some mechanism to have some teeth to enforce getting these done in a timely fashion. We need an ordinance to do it.
I didn't remember seeing.
We haven't had an ordinance, but Kent did give us some paperwork on it and his recommendation.
Right.
And so I presumed someone on ordinance or RAP were writing that.
Was Sal gonna,
Yeah.
you and Mr. Rapp?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't get an email to him, but we'll get something together.
That's what you're talking about there?
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what,
There it is.
there's what he gave us this, everybody got a copy of this. We'll have an ordinance drawn up for have Chuck present it to the full council. Mr. Rapp?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Larry.
The only other thing I have is a letter from the YMCA. I can read it all, or what I think it amounts, I'm gonna let Tom explain what it amounts to and what they're proposing.
I'm gonna bounce it to Kent, because Kent was involved from the get-go.
The YMCA, I think their contractor, tentatively their contractor for their aquatic center. No, sir. They,
You can read that later, Kent.
okay, we went to a meeting, the mayor and Mr. Jenny, myself went to a board of directors meeting week before last with the Y. The contractor said that they had came to City Hall and got some information about a building permit. And that the building permit was going to be humongously smaller than it should be. Now, they got some bad information somewhere, I don't know where. So we discussed that, and then that day or the next day I went through the old files upstairs, and the YMCA made an addition in 2007. The addition was for about $1.1 million. Their building permit was for $3,600 and some odd dollars. And it was signed by the same contractor that had a question about the building permit. Now, their new aquatic center is going to be about 3.4, I think, and the building permit will come in around $10,000.
12,000.
12,000, and they,
385 million.
they were concerned
3.8.
about the cost of the building permit, not figured in their budget or whatever, so they, in 2007, they went by the city ordinance, paid the fee like everybody else does, or other contractors, other businesses, and did that construction. Now, I guess this one it's a bigger job, it's a lot more money. So,
The reason we went out to YMCA, this here was on the internet on old ordinances. In fact, it's 2005 ordinance that they found this on the internet. And anyway, it says that you'll pay, on this one it says you pay $10 for a permit, and then you'd pay so much foot. Anyway, it amounted to $570, all they'd have to pay for a building permit. But that was in 2005. It was changed in 2006, and in 2007 they came in and bought, or got a permit and paid for the permit, the Black Construction did. And she signed off on it, paying the rates that are on the city ordinance book now.
So
And
their argument is that they believe they should have the 2005 rate.
No, they're just asking us to lower it.
yeah, they think that, being they found it on the internet, that is the city ordinance. When actually we told them that day, Bob and Kip and I was out there, that if you want a city ordinance, you should come to City Hall, get with the code enforcement person, or if you just want to get the ordinance and look at it, have the city clerk give you a copy of the ordinance, which was not done in either case.
Was that off Sullivan's site?
No.
Oh, okay. No, that's all right, I don't need to
It
see
was
it.
on louisianamo.org.
Oh, the old one.
The old one, huh?
Okay.
Something that probably should have been pulled off the internet. but
Yeah.
Never is.
I just want to make sure where
Are
they
these
got.
figures accurate? On them there, yeah, the letter you got from the YMCA is accurate because Kent gave them, to them on the prices. Is that correct, or Bob, you did?
I'm looking at them here, they're accurate.
Well, there's nothing else we can do. That's what,
What is,
If I can clarify this situation. From everything that I've seen on it, it's the contractor's fault. It has nothing to do with the city. The contractor was well aware of cost associated with the permit because they did the addition. Then they came up and said, well, this is not the case. And then after the meeting, Kent provided me with that information, and it's clearly on them, and they're not willing to buck up. Now, for us to, based upon what she says, nonprofit and all this other stuff, I understand it's a great
situation, but you would be setting the most egregious precedent beyond belief, because we've had 2 churches do brand new roofs. We've had the hospital do an addition, and for us to go
Several
ahead
times,
and
yeah.
give them a reduction,
Well, the fault is lying with the contractor. Is he taking fault for that?
no, they don't want to take fault for
So
it.
they're saying that they were not at fault in this, and that's what they're telling
That's
the
what they were,
YMCA?
I don't know what they're saying right now, because after we had this meeting, Kent went through his records, well, not his records, but Mel Orff's records at the time, and Mel did the quote for the permit.
So they're aware that they're aware of this information. Can't you brought that to them?
Yes.
Yep,
To Marshall?
I think either the mayor or Mr. Jenny did. I took it to.
Mr. Jenny
I
gave it
took
to,
it to Marcia.
and I gave it to Tim Jenkins, who's on the board.
And and how did they respond to that
They
information?
said that.
Their
they-
response is they would still,
Like some
is
kind of
this
curve?
letter, they would still like some type of reduction. And,
And they didn't think to come to committee or council to kind of go over it?
well, I told her, I said I would bring it up tonight.
Yeah.
And then, if you would like, Marcia can be present at the next council meeting, and they can present their statement, and we go from there.
I think we've got their statement.
It seems to me what they've done in this letter is simply explain what's happened, and then the active sentence here is, as a not-for-profit organization whose sole purpose is to serve the community, we are respectfully requesting a reduction in the cost of the permit. They're not even suggesting what that would be.
Right.
Right? So they're just looking for some relief for a failure of their contractor, and they were asking for that relief based on the fact that they're doing good in the community, which they absolutely are. However, the problem, of course, is, as Bob said, to do this at the level of a fee for a permit is I can't even fathom what kind of problem that will cause moving forward. If our intention is to help the Y with this project, then we need to find a different mechanism to do it. And if that is our intention, we need to be extraordinarily careful, because the Missouri Constitution says we
Yes.
can't use public resources for those public benefits. Now, there is clearly a public benefit here that we could participate in, but we need to be very, very mindful of how we do that. Reducing this fee as a mechanism to do that, it seems unreasonable to me.
I agree. If they wanted, I mean, in my thoughts, if they wanted, they should go back on their contractor and say, you reduce
Right.
yours by $13,000.
That's who's wanting this.
Yeah.
The YMCA, it ain't gonna cost him nothing.
No.
It's gonna cost that contractor. He's the one wanting that.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think that probably depends on how the contract
No, the
is
YMCA
written.
will have.
If he's already bid it, and so
But
he's
it-
the one that.
But he didn't
But his
probably
bid
bid
may
the
include
permit.
plus
Right,
fees.
he didn't bid that, which means they'll end up having to pay for it.
I would
But I'm
guess it-
sure they've got some overrun
Yeah.
funds, but.
I'd like
just-
to hear from them personally.
Ken,
Yes, sir?
did you have something?
No.
I
You all
do.
pretty well covered it.
We're
I got
just,
something for you.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
You just wondered what I was doing here, didn't you?
Well, I'm here on behalf of LEDC. Yes, you haven't heard from us for a while, but we've been sitting quietly trying to figure out what we're gonna hit you with next. I'm holding it there. On the top. So, everybody might remember the Scenic Byway Committee. When it dispersed, there was a Scenic Byway Committee that worked between Winfield and just south of Hannibal. Got lots of grants and did all the stone markers along Highway 79. They ceased sometime 2 years ago, I think, and they divided the money between Louisiana, Clarksville, and Aneda. And of course, when one nonprofit ceases, they have to give their money to another nonprofit. So LEDC was the recipient of $8,900 and some change. with the stipulation that the money be used along the scenic byway for some improvement here. And we've just been sitting on that money trying to decide what to do with it next. So we were looking at the some of the dream stuff, and there was a war memorial interpretive site proposed for the vacant lot out here. We pulled all of that back out, and I've kind of reworked the figures and brought it to my board, and LEDC wanted to propose it to your Building and Grounds Committee for discussion to move along with that project and make that lot over there a war memorial. We've got our $8,900, we've got another $2,000 that has been unofficially pledged from another organization. It looks like to me we could probably do something in 3 phases. If I got your go-ahead, there's a DAR grant that is available for up to $10,000. You can see that my little bit of work here, we could probably get something done pretty inexpensively.
How much of this thing that you got here?
That is, that very last page that you don't have, Tom, that very last page that's in your packets were the figures that PGAV came up with. And as you know, they overdid everything.
How much of this is in?
Well, this is more of
Just this
what
here?
I took the very first picture that you've got, and my figures for phase 1 are basically that.
Cindy, if I may interrupt a minute. We haven't finished the issue that was at hand, or at least I'm not sure that we finished it.
Oh, on the Y?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, and I just wanted to
Oh, I
finish.
thought you said you were done with it.
No, you said, Larry said he was done, but Sal was still
Oh, okay.
asking a question.
Have you got another question?
To finish it before we get back to this, obviously, I'd just like to hear from them and talk to them and see where the miscommunications come. Bart, you raised a really good point. Obviously, we have to be careful, but at the same time, there's some kind of miscommunication we're missing here. I don't know why.
Sounds to me like it was simply the
Yeah.
contractor
If that's the
looked on the
case, if
internet.
that's the case, I don't believe there's anything
It's
we
a contractor, it ain't.
Right, but the YMCA is still
He
gonna
knew
be
exactly what he was
liable to
saying.
pay that if the contractor doesn't take it.
No.
And
Or
as I said, Marcia said she would be happy to be here next week. So if you like, I will get back to her and
Is anybody, is it worth a discussion with her? I mean, to anybody else, it is for me, but.
Yeah, I think we should give her the right.
She may say it's all in the letter.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then that's, I have no, okay.
okay, that's fine.
Give her the opportunity.
Sorry for the interruption, but
It's all
I
right.
just wanted to get it over with
Okay.
and finished. Thank you, Cindy.
Okay. So, the very first picture there is what I kind of based my preliminary figures on. There's also a possibility that we could involve the flag fund. They have some money that maybe would help buy the flag poles. So, those are just preliminary things. What I want from your committee is the discussion to bring it to full council to give us permission to continue on and get a real drawing and a real draft so we can get real figures put together and see how far our $8,900 plus our $2,000 plus any in-kind that we might be able to come with.
A war memorial, my only question would be for you to send is, going up steps is gonna be kinda hard for someone that's seen
Well,
this.
on that, on one of the PGAV drawings, I think it's this one.
Yeah, I've got the drawing.
It's accessible from the
Yeah, we
back.
could
It's
provide
accessible from
access
here.
from that.
Uh-huh.
It's accessible from the
The original
back.
drawing, and I
Yeah, from
put
the
that in
backside.
there,
Yeah.
that they had a little bit of asphalt for 2 or 3 parking places, handicapped accessible parking places between that lot and the senior building back there, Thomas Building. Yeah, so they would be able to access it from there, not from the street, so it'd be level.
And we were actually, excuse me.
That's right.
When I was still on the LEDC and these drawings were done, I know this says War Memorial, but we were thinking more of a Veterans Memorial, right? I mean, not just, because we have a War
Yeah.
Memorial in Bowling
Bowling
Green,
Green.
but as, you know, to honor all the vets.
But see, Bowling Green, when you was talking about that too, I agreed with you, Kathy. Right now, you have, in Bowling Green, you got the War Memorial up there for all the wars. But inside the courthouse, Bowling Green has a Veterans Board inside the thing for Bowling Green people. Actually,
We
there's
have nothing
nothing
here.
in Louisiana.
Right.
It used to be years and years ago, and I don't think you are old enough to remember.
I'm not.
But they used to have, you're gonna keep it up. Anyway, they used to have one on the side of the old Holtz.
Mattingly.
Huh?
Mattingly.
Yeah, Mattingly's, right. They
No,
used to
not
have one.
Mattingly's. No.
Not Mattingly's, it
Mattingly's
used to be
was,
Holtz, right?
Right, over here on the
Right
corner.
here, they used to have a board that had the
I took that
Louisiana.
board down in 1964 when we grew up at Mattingly's.
Okay, well, anyway, they did have a veterans board up.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's what our thought is,
Yeah,
because Louisiana needs something, and it needs to be on the scenic byway, and that's the only.
Very nice.
yeah.
I have
We,
It's a good idea.
Go ahead,
we looked and looked, and that's just really the only logical place for us to spend that money.
it'd be
And
great.
we really need to spend the money.
My question, these are rough numbers that you put up, about
No,
62,000?
those are PGAV numbers.
Yeah, see, and
And
So that's
they are
probably a
so.
little-
It's for a different project with a larger scope, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
well, and
published
they
prices.
use union labor,
Yeah.
and they do
Sure.
all, you know, and
So, but
we
that's a
just-
high number to hit.
That's
so I
a
mean,
really high number. I'm looking more at 22 or 23,000.
Really?
yeah,
which you would have with the DAR grant, if you were able to get
Right,
the DAR grant.
right.
I love,
Well, and you know, hoping that maybe the city can provide some in-kind labor to lay the sidewalks, and we can go to VFW for some funds, and go to the flag
Legion.
fund for the flagpole and flags. And that's huge. Those flagpoles can be $2,400, not to mention what the flags are.
American
So
Legion probably.
We
would
can
help.
really, yeah, I think we can really utilize and pull together some local organizations.
Not on your
Stark
committee, but I'd
Brothers.
love for you to make a motion to bring it to full committee.
I will do so. I believe that we bring this to full council.
I'll second it.
Okay, we'll be
All in
here in case
favor?
anybody has any questions.
thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
That's all I have.
I just have one other thing. Oh, sorry.
Wait, but you got two hands.
Oh,
Kathy-
sorry.
Kathy was first. Kathy, go ahead.
Have you started pulling anything together as far as the town branch, you know, the permits and everything that we're gonna have, so we can have a work study to work on that?
Basically, I'm gonna have to get in touch with the Corps to see if I can get that extension to what I've already gotten.
Right.
For, if they'll do the entire branch, and then
Okay.
we can go ahead with it.
Okay, thank you.
We can't start the first part or the lower part and get clean up down there.
We can work on the 5th and Tennessee area, but I need to go through the Corps, and I'll check with Chuck Freiker to see if we have to do an application, or if he's seen it all, he may just say, well, as long as you're not changing elevation. And
We could
that
do
we
it.
wouldn't be, all we're doing is leveling, we're not changing elevation.
Can
Well,
we
I think it
clean
needs to
out?
be dredged,
Needs to be cleaned out.
and that's not really changing the elevation, that's cleaning it out.
Then that would most definitely come under the Corps'
Right,
purview.
it needs to be dredged, in my opinion, and I'm,
How quick can we get that done or get started so January 1, we can start phase 1, phase 2?
Right now, we have 10,000 budgeted.
I thought we
Yeah.
pulled that out.
Huh?
I thought we pulled that out.
No, I put it back in on the mid-year.
Oh, okay. Assuming mid-year.
No, I put it back in the mid-year.
so you wanna start work, I mean, that's just me, you know,
I
start
would
working
like
on.
to, at this point in time, due to the fact that we have less precipitation, hopefully not in the form of snow,
Well, you might get some on Wednesday.
Yeah,
But, I mean, now is the time, but then we also run into the problem, if the ground's frozen, ain't
Right.
nothing gonna move it.
right. Yeah,
So
I know that.
we're
That's why I
kinda-
was thinking if we could get our ducks in a row now, come spring, before we get really bombarded, you know, that would be the time to get started on it.
You
What
gotta
I would
look
like to
on
do is
Fifth
start-
Street in Tennessee, Bob, we could start them now.
And I could actually do the one just north of J. Thomas and get that kind of resurrected, that portion of the wall resurrected.
Yeah.
I think that would be the first one that I would like to move on.
I say get started.
Yeah, and are you gonna go ahead and file for the permits to get the other done, so we'll be set to go?
I will call Chuck and see what they advise and what I need in the way of, and I'm sure DNR will be involved to some degree.
I was gonna
so,
say DNR would definitely,
Maybe
So-
they've got some slack time now.
You know, DNR may just go ahead and push it off on the Corps and say, whatever the Corps says, we agree to, so.
so would you mind working on that? So
Oh,
we
no,
can-
not at all.
Okay. That's all I had.
You had Don Oakley out there.
Don?
Is the city responsible for the cost to clean up Mr. Burst's property?
There's a, yeah, we would pay for
Initially,
it,
we
and
will
then
be.
there would be a lien on the property against
And
it.
then be turned back over as a tax abatement,
Well, it's not an abatement, it would be a lien.
or charging back?
It'll be a lien.
It'll be a
Be a
lien
lien
on
against
this
the property.
property.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Chuck?
Yes, I keep getting calls about the cottonwood tree on the riverfront and who actually owns it. I know that the boat club has a lease on that property, but who is responsible for the dead tree?
I understand it's up to the boat club, and I think the boat club's agreed to take care of it if we will give them a letter. It's your tree, you do something with it,
I'll be more than happy.
okay?
Okay,
You'll get a letter to the boat club, I'll get you the address.
Yeah, just tell me who to send it to and
Okay.
I'll draft it and get it on its
Yeah,
way.
I talked with them a while back, they had a chance to cut it once, and I think they told them it was a historical tree, a historical pine, and we couldn't take it down.
It's a historical dead thing.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Water Committee.
Okay, I'd like to have a motion to accept the minutes of last month's meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor? I don't have anything other than this change order. You want to do that now, or you want to wait till next week and go through the Finance Committee?
However the council wishes, if they want to,
Well, it wouldn't be the council, it'd be this committee.
Well, I would
whatever.
suggest that this committee go ahead and I'll make a motion that we forward that onto the full
Yeah,
council
well,
for consideration.
Let's just have a, well, okay, we need a second then. Motion made and seconded, all those in favor? We need to talk about this quite a bit.
Yeah, but we need to do it as a full council, I think.
Yeah. But I would advise all of you to go down there and check these out personally. Check out exactly all 5 of these things. I did it today. But since it's money, it'll have to go through finance, right?
No, not necessarily.
No.
I mean, what it,
You can recommend it, and if you recommend to take it to full council, council votes on it, and it doesn't have to go through finance, you're just spending it.
Okay, well, that's, okay, but we've done that, so it'll come up next week.
Yeah.
Has anybody else got anything for the water committee? Okay, I guess we're done.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, Grant Committee.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the last month's meeting minute.
Second.
All in favor? Bob, you have anything else? for us,
I
Vance?
submitted the Phase 2 application to SRF for plans and specifications through MECO, but I'm waiting to hear back because one of their requirements was to have the Phase 1 submitted at the time you submit the Phase 2. But that has not been completed yet, so.
Okay.
But they said, go ahead and send it on through, and they may consider it giving the time frame that I didn't get it until the end of October. And their deadline for Phase 2 was November 29th, so. We shall see.
Okay. Nothing for the police departments?
I have, were you about to close your meeting? I'm sorry.
No, I was
I'm
just,
sorry.
I didn't hear anybody say anything, there's no grants pending between the police department. Okay, that's all I wanted to ask, go ahead.
I was just gonna, Chris, actually, with the chamber, pointed me towards the 2014, there's a 2-year cycle for these transportation enhancement grants.
Okay.
And they're accepting them now. These are, last time it was $1 million in available funding at a 20-80 split. We spend 20% of it, they'll pay 80%. I like that ratio. It's usually broken down, you could go for like the whole $1 million, but usually what happens in our district is that it gets broken down into something in the neighborhood of $250,000 bundles to address sidewalks, trails, historic lighting. If you go to their website, there's a whole list of things, and about half of them on there, I could just see that happen. That's for Louisiana. So it seems like there's a real opportunity here. Robert Mansk, I don't know him, but he's the MoDOT District Design Liaison, or also Marissa Ellison, who I'm sure you know. Either one of them could pursue that, but I think we need to be working on this.
The issue that boils down to it is ownership
Okay.
of the property, like when you're doing sidewalks.
Well, then we need to figure out what those issues are and work on
And
those.
Actually, the best approach is through the school district.
That's the safe.
That's a
safe-
different grant.
Yeah.
Safe routes to
Right.
Yeah,
school.
this is
And-
different though.
And this is a different set of money.
It just depends upon what you're talking about as far as transportation, you know.
Well, sidewalks are one thing, but there was also, there were some waterway things that could feed straight into repair of the portions of the branch, absolutely. There were.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
There were a bunch of like even historic sites or sections. I mean, it may play into something we could do at the riverfront. There's just, what I'm seeing is a $250,000 pool of money that maybe we could get our hands on, and maybe it would be appropriate for the grants committee to look into that and see if there's a fit.
Okay,
That's all I.
okay. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Then
Thank you,
adjourn
Kathy.
meeting.
Ordinance Committee.
I called the ordinance committee to order and move that the minutes of the November meeting be accepted. Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor? I have no pending ordinances, with the exception of the tree one. We haven't met yet on that.
Okay.
Very good.
We're gonna adjourn your meeting then?
And I adjourn.
I need a motion.
Make the motion, we adjourn.
I will second. Thank you. Committee meetings are adjourned. Hey, Barbara, didn't think of
Didn't need it.
Dave, did you have any questions?
That's a good point, but I don't get on there. That's a good point.
I was surprised when I went and looked at that, all the variety of things that have been successfully funded.
State's got 3 feeds into our city. And we can rumble on that, just like, Rick Henry.